Joining us now is the Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S., Oksana Markarova. Ambassador, we are so thankful that you have taken the time to join us during this terrible time for your country. Ambassador, your president remains in Kyiv, a city many around the world are worried about tonight. What can you tell us about what's being done to protect the capital at this hour?
Thank you very much for having me. And I would like to thank all the Americans for the support that we feel and receive during these days, which is crucial for Ukrainian people. So yes, my president remains in Kyiv. He remains there with Ukrainians. He remains there with our armed forces. And believe me, all the armed forces of Ukraine, even though the situation is really difficult in Ukraine, and even though for the past 48 hours, we have been under brutal attack from the air, from east, from north, from everywhere, by the enemy, by a neighboring country that attacked a sovereign country, even though everyone understands the risks and we look into the eye of this for the past two days, we remain committed to defend our home. We resist. We will not surrender our capital to the enemy.
And speaking of your president, he has been filming defiant videos today, posting one on social media saying, "We are here." He earlier today also issued a call to arms to everyone capable of defending Kyiv to, quote, "Please help our military." But the Ukrainian military, we hear, are putting up a brave fight. Is that what you're hearing as well?
Absolutely. We actually admire every man and woman that today is defending our homes. Again, Ukraine is a very peaceful country. We never attacked anyone. It was Ukraine that was attacked by Russia in 2014 when they illegally occupied Crimea, when they illegally occupied parts of Donetsk and Lugansk territory, which then for 8 years we tried to use every diplomatic solution together with the United States and our partners and allies in Europe to negotiate and to diplomatically restore our territorial integrity. And then earlier this last year, as you all saw, when Mr. Putin started accumulating the troops around our border, and then he recognized so-called republics, which definitely are not republics. They have been occupied by Russians for this 8 years, and used that as a pretext to now wage a full-fledged invasion and war in our country. But again, you know, we don't have any other home, and we will defend this one. And we defended our choice to be not only sovereign, not only independent, but also European and democratic. And this is the reason why Putin attacked us. But this is exactly the reason why we will do everything to protect our house.
And Ambassador, I have to share with you, just a few weeks ago, I was there in Kyiv and spoke to so many people who said they lived through that 2014 revolution and they stayed in their homes. It was an awful time, and many of them saying they were choosing to stay this time around as well. But of course, as you know, hundreds of thousands are heading to the border. What are your humanitarian concerns at this hour?
Massive concerns. I mean, Putin's actions, not only to start the full-fledged war, but also targeting the civilian infrastructure. They hit an orphanage today. They hit a hospital today. They've hit so many individual private houses and apartment buildings. These are clear acts of war, but also criminal acts. And we are getting all this information and confirmations and evidences, and we will be doing everything possible to make them accountable for this. But also so many people had to leave their houses during these 2 days, relocate from many places, women with children. Some people moved closer to Western Ukraine, some people relocated within Ukraine, but it's major humanitarian crisis caused by Putin's actions, caused by Russian armed forces shelling, killing, and doing everything inside another country. So yes, we are working very closely with all humanitarian organizations. We are receiving great help from the United States, first and foremost, but also from European colleagues in order also to support people. So right now, essentially, what we as country are asking from all of our friends and allies, in addition to support and in addition to forming this, as we call it, anti-Putin coalition, where we already have 73 countries and 9 international organizations. But we also are asking for more weapons so that our brave men and women can sustain the effort to defend our home, but also asking for financial and humanitarian support so that while we defend our country, we can also support those who were affected, all the people who were affected. And, the schools are not in session. You also saw that your correspondent back in Kyiv and in other places saw that children have to sleep in the shelters, children have to be outside of, not in schools. I mean, they're afraid on a daily, minute basis. Now there are sirens and there are attacks. I mean, it's unimaginable that something like this in the 21st century can happen in the center of Europe, and that it's a large nuclear power, Russia, that is doing this. So this cannot go unpunished.
So many disruptions to so many lives. And as we're speaking, we're also able to see some of the images, some of the video and pictures of the areas that have been targeted. But it's so difficult to watch, and it's just unbelievable that this is taking place. And I have to tell you, a lot of the folks that we spoke to there in Kyiv, in Lviv, they really didn't think this was going to happen. Even our translator who was with us, with our crews the entire time, she really didn't think there would be an invasion. And I just spoke with her earlier today, and she is so worried, she's so concerned, and she really has no place to go. And it is just heartbreaking. Now, Ambassador, I have to ask, are you happy with the sanctions, or content, I should say, with the sanctions so far announced by President Biden and the leaders in Europe? What more would you like to see done?
We of course, are very grateful for a rapid response by President Biden, by Congress, by administration, by everyone. But also what is very important this time, that we see unity, that this response is pretty much from all of the people of a free will, from all of the people who value democratic principles, all people who know that this is unacceptable. So given that it started only happening 2 days ago, but we all knew that this is what Russian Federation was preparing for, because they didn't concentrate all those up to 200,000 troops around our border for nothing. And we know that the intent to destroy our country was always there. Since we regained independence in 1991, they always had these dreams about getting us back under their occupation. So we did not have any, false expectations about them. But even people in Ukraine, knowing who we are dealing with, we still didn't think that, again, in the 21st century, when we have all the cameras and information and transparency, that they would actually authorize to start a war on a sovereign country, and war in this most brutal way, with airstrikes and targeting civilians throughout the country. It's, as you said, unimaginable. But again, this is the reality we live in. And I have to say that even though the situation is really difficult, even though people are fighting for their lives, but more than that, we are fighting for our country, and we will not surrender. And we will not be occupied, and we will defend our homes. And, after President Zelensky announced the overall mobilization of people, there are lines in the conscription points. There are lines of people who want to actually go, and together with our armed forces, together with our National Guard, together with our brave border guards, who just yesterday, I think, all world saw this, also bravery, example of bravery of the 13 border guards who were guarding the Serpent Island, a small island in the south of the Black Sea, and they were threatened by the Russian military vessel, and they asked them to surrender to save their lives, and they said no, and all of them were killed by Russians. We Ukrainians will always remember it, and it will be very hard to forgive it.
And some of our teams there on the ground have certainly met with some Ukrainians there who are still just as patriotic and want to move forward and remain optimistic. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. And again, big thank you to all Americans. We feel and value your support.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.